guys, welcome back. All right, so I pulled the cards. I didn't look at anything yet except for underneath the deck just to save time. And I'm going to start with these two cards. So underneath the tarot deck, we're getting the Hermit in the reverse. And underneath this deck, we're getting this card in the reverse. It is the Goddess of Never Not Broken. And it says, everything happens for my liberation. I choose to become only more love. So, and under that is the Power card, like calling back your power in all directions of time and space. So there's a lesson, there's something that you're going through right now where you probably feel like you're being broken down. Like you might feel like you're failing, like you've got bad luck, like you're cursed, like the universe is against you, that you're like climbing up a mountain, you can't see the top. You're just like, when is this challenge gonna end? I'm just so tired, you know? I feel that. And the thing is, the answer is not as complicated as you think. I think in some cases we make it complicated. We make it harder than it needs to be because we don't want to see the truth. Because the truth is so obvious, glaring in our face. It's too painful. So we're like, blah, 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 and we just make it drama. And we complicate the matter to not just deal with it. Because you're on the verge of a cycle completing itself, and there's something that you haven't been wanting to see. And that's why I feel this is in the reverse. I think it's so in your face that you do know, but you're not dealing with it. You're not like fully finishing the lesson. So whatever that means to you. Because on the other side of this resistance, because this is resistance to me, it's like denial and resistance and fear. On the other side of it is your destiny. It's like things finally balancing out. The Star card is alignment. It's you being on the right path, meaning your soul's path. Justice card can mean that karmically things will recalibrate in your favor. These are both upright. But this resistance is no fucking joke, because every single reading, and remember you guys, these readings are also my readings, right? Like I'm doing these for you, but this is also my mirror. So we're all on our own spiritual path, you know what I mean? And that's why I like to do these, because it's a good check for me too. So what have you been resisting? Seeing. Like maybe the red flags are flying in your face, or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's not that dramatic, but it's just a situation or a person or something going on that you haven't been seeing through the correct perspective, like from a perspective of love, I'm feeling. Let's continue. We'll just see what we get, but that feels pretty strong right now. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. We're getting the High Priestess card upright and the High Priest card in the reverse from the tarot. So yet again, another spiritual lesson or something that you need to learn spiritually that's either you're struggling with learning or you're resisting. But the High Priestess card is upright and she says, I am one with my soul and my soul is a legacy of love. Once again, you're not being broken down because you deserve to be broken down. You're being broken open. You're going through like a suffering right now that's actually going to liberate you. But oftentimes we can't see that because we're so in the thick of it or in the pain that we can't see that it's actually trying to free us. And that on the other side of that pain is liberation of some kind. You're here to be a legacy of love, not to be a legacy of all of your achievements or all of your material possessions or all of your blah, blah, blah. I'm reading a really good book and it's making me think of it. I picked this book up about 10, 12 years ago and I didn't finish it. I feel like I just wasn't, it's kind of triggering at the time and also I just wasn't ready. It's a book about the story of Rumi. The title is called The 40 Rules of Love. It's so good. But, you know, the woman, the main character in the story she lives in a bubble. She's got a very rich husband. She doesn't have to worry about anything financially. She's basically like a housewife and a mom. She had a job, but she quit, you know, or she doesn't really have to work, so she doesn't have to worry about it. It's like her whole life from now, and she's only like 40 in the book, but it's like she knows everything is predictable. Everything is like on a spreadsheet, planned out. She doesn't have to think about anything till she dies. And some people think that would be a luxury. But many times you don't know how much of a prison that feels like until you've lived in. You think you want that until you have it, and then you're like, I have no purpose. Or I don't have love. So she has all of these things, right? She has a beautiful home and an apartment in this city and an apartment in another city. And she has kids, but now they don't need her anymore, really, because they're out of the house in college. And she just is floating around like a blob around the house. Like, I don't know, you know, she doesn't have a romantic connection anymore with her husband. Her husband cheats on her, and she just turns a blind eye, like, la la la, whatever. He comes home to shower and eat dinner with the family, so just pretend like that's not happening. She doesn't have a romantic life. She doesn't have love. She feels dead. And admitting that to herself is like a huge shocker, you know, because other people think their life is perfect. And she knows damn well that it's not. Because her soul wants to learn love, but she kind of scoffs at romance. Like, oh, why, even to her kids, like, why are you worrying about that? Like, it doesn't matter. When you marry somebody, it becomes boring anyway. You're just, don't worry about that. It's better to just have stability and have a companion, and, you know, the intimate stuff and all that, it's going to go away. So don't get attached to that, or la la la. It's so sad. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't have, yes, when you are with a person, for example, for a long time, the novelty does wear off. But then you have to practice. You have to be an interesting person, first of all. If you want an interesting partnership, be interesting. Keep your interests. Don't lose yourself in your partnership. Keep your own things, your own hobbies, your own stuff, so you have something that excites you outside the partnership. Don't look to your partner to complete you. You will be disappointed. You will get bored. You know, if you want to keep interesting your partnership, you have to practice. 1, be interesting, have interests. 2, that's why conscious relationship is a practice. But most people are just going through the motions, and then when it all fizzles out, they're like, oh, that's just how it is. No, that's not just how it is. But that's just how most people are, right? So we didn't learn any better. We got to learn. So I'm feeling there's a lesson here about love. You can't buy love. You can't purchase it. You can't bribe somebody into feeling it. You can't pressure them into feeling it. It's there or it's not. And you have to cultivate it if it's there. You have to cultivate it within yourself to experience it in your life and in your relationships. So if you're feeling empty, broken, I don't know, I'm just getting like this wave lately of depression, of like heaviness. And some of it is personal and some of it isn't. You know what I mean? I'm going through transition periods. Things are not always easy. But it's not always heavy. But there is this heaviness in the air. I don't know, I think it's also collective. So let's continue, but that's the present energy. There's a lesson here around love that you've been majorly resisting, and maybe it is because the answer is right in your face and you just don't want to see it, because it would mean change, because it would mean discomfort, because it would mean that all the shit that you've been buying into for maybe all these years isn't true, and you know it. A lot of people are in relationships like this woman in the book. People just turn a blind eye. They just get lazy and complacent. They don't want to deal with change, or they're like, I'm too old, I don't want to start over, or they don't want to deal with the judgment of their kids or their family, or they don't want to be alone. So they just decide to not deal with it. It's like, I'm just not going to say anything, and if nobody asks the question, then we don't have to come up with the answer. And you just go through like a zombie. It's like, is this it? Yeah, for a lot of people that is it, because that's as far as they're willing to take it. If you want epic love, like legendary love, it does exist, you guys. Don't think that it doesn't. It does. But you have to create that. And then you have to be available for it. And if you don't have the courage to be available for it, then don't be shocked when it's not there. Most people will not give up something. They won't make a sacrifice, a spiritual sacrifice, to be available for the deeper desire. That might be romantic, that might be in your career, that might be in another way. But you have to have so much courage. Like, you're gonna be broken open 1,000 times. And that's what this Rumi book is about, because Rumi wrote about divine love, not just romantic love, far beyond romantic love. The kind of love that, it's like the quote, the wound is where the light can enter you, or it's where the light enters. We need that pain as human beings to experience love, because we need contrast, or else we wouldn't have incarnated here. We would be like light beings and we wouldn't feel pain. But instead we come into this world of duality, we feel the big paradox of pain to pleasure, and it's like, you don't know pleasure unless you know pain usually. And so how will you know love if you don't know what's not love? It's like the lady in the book. She's got it all, so to speak, quote unquote, on paper, and yet she's dissatisfied because the one thing she truly wants, love, she doesn't have it yet, you know, in the beginning of the book. So the challenge is the mistress of the labyrinth. Like I was saying, the only way out is through. It says, my soul knows the way. But the only way out is through with the Nine of Wands, which is, again, the card of having been through a lot of pain and strife and struggle. He has a bandage on his head. He looks like paranoid. He's like, I can't deal with any more pain. But you're resisting your own you're resisting the blessing on the other side of this. Because like I said, you are very close, whoever this is, to the end of a cycle. You've got the 9, which the 10 is the final card. The World is the final major arcana before the Fool card. A new cycle starts. And they're, the World is reversed because you keep circling, I feel, around the same lesson, tap dancing around the white elephant in the room. And you and whoever else I feel is involved already knows the truth, but no one's saying it. Again, you're only playing yourself. So, because I feel your soul is here to learn the lesson, so you can just circle around the same shit year after year, but I feel that life has a funny way of pushing you towards the thing that's meant for you. And that usually means pushing you out of other things, or making you so uncomfortable, again, breaking you open so fiercely that you really don't have any other choice but to choose the thing that's actually meant for you. The friction will become so strong, so uncomfortable, so the burn will become so hot, something's got to give. And I'm really getting the unbelievable stubbornness of some of us to just resist this final piece of the lesson. And yet, I don't think there's any avoiding it. But I suppose you could just stay stuck, but you're not really stuck. I'm telling you, this is giving big denial energy. Because I feel whoever this is for, you already know. We always know, you guys. I've been working with people one-to-one for over a decade in intuitive sessions. And people come to me and they'll ask me questions and I'm like, you already actually know the answer. You may not want to hear it, or it may be that hearing it from another person, it will finally land for you, because then it's like an objective, you know what I mean, opinion. Who doesn't know your whole story? But whatever the case is, like deep down you already know. Usually you just need it confirmed. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with the challenge. The only way out of this is through it. You're gonna have to face the final piece of the lesson. Just like the lady in the book, she's like, if I want love, then my old life is gonna have to burn down. Now, she can resist it or not, but she knows what to expect. She's like, if I stay, it's going to be this until I die. It's not getting better. It's like slow suicide. It's like super slow. You're just waiting around to die. It's a choice, you guys. It's a choice a lot of people make, sadly. But again, you want amazing, epic love, you need to be so fucking brave. Here it is, more resistance, the Judgment in the reverse, as I'm saying. I don't get it sometimes. Like, we all have fears. Part of the reason why I do this work is because, I don't know, I'm built a little bit different, and I'm a risk taker. That doesn't mean that it's comfortable. That doesn't mean that I don't have fears. It doesn't mean that I don't have insecurities. It means I would rather be uncomfortable in a change and take a risk, because I must have some level of self-belief at this point, or faith, or whatever it is, confidence built over time, you guys, through making challenging decisions, which is why I can't work with everyone. I can only work with people closely that are bold and they're action takers, because otherwise I can't do anything for you. It's like you have to be willing to take the steps. But I would rather that than be in purgatory, because this is purgatory. This is the in-between. And so, like I said, some people would rather remain in purgatory and complain about it, or bitch about it, or suffer about it, or cry about it, or be depressed about it, or whatever the thing is. And I'm not judging you. We're all different. I'm just saying some people will just stay there. And they'll just pretend like they have no power. You're literally, the power card is upright. You have it, you haven't been wanting to own it, because being in your power means taking responsibility. It means facing consequences. It means Judgment Day is here. You got to face the fucking music. You got to face the music, I'm hearing. And it will be uncomfortable, and people won't like it. And there will be people that will definitely have a lot to say about it. And again, it's either you go through that, or you don't. And if you don't, you know what to expect already, because I feel you're in a routine that is very, very predictable. For people that have a lot of abandonment issues, or they have a lot of issues with scarcity, and they have a lot of fear around their security, their stability, and their money, and maybe also struggle with low self-esteem and a lot of self-doubt, those are the people who tend to stay in situations that are very mediocre. They're not great. They could even be pretty shitty, but because it's predictable, it feels safer. Therefore, many people choose that for their whole lives. And they might, like I said, cry about it, complain about it, feel awful about it, but they won't make the change. And so all I can say is, again, we have choices in life. And some choices are harder than other ones. And this is giving, like, this is a very difficult choice. But again, if you don't choose it, don't be shocked when life just doesn't get better. It's not funny, but the stubbornness and the resistance kind of is funny at this point, because it's like such a joke. It's like the answer is literally in front of you and you're just not wanting to see it. So that's why this card is coming up as the advice. You get to rewrite your story. It says, the saint of spoken words. Every word I say becomes a prayer. I'm the author of my own story. You can write your horror story, your nightmare, your purgatory, and you can live in that day after day after day. And the woman in the book, by the way, is a writer, which is why I'm kind of laughing, because that book feels divinely timed. Like I said, I picked it up a long time ago, but at the time, the story was just, yeah, it just wasn't sitting well with me. And now I'm like in a different place, and, you know, you can just see things for what they are and try to understand why we all make the choices that we make, even sometimes when they just make zero sense. You're just like, what the fuck are you doing or not doing? And yet, I don't know, the only way out is through, and we all have our own lessons to learn, and you don't need to force anybody to do anything. You've just got to do what feels correct to you. And if you want to free yourself from a painful story, like you've been living one and you feel like you're tired of the cycle, then you need to buy into a new narrative. Stop. Like, for example, there are people who are like, men suck. And then they're like, why can't I meet a great man? And it's like, because you keep reinforcing that men suck. Therefore, good men are not attracted to you. Period. Women suck. Guess what? You're not attracting amazing women when you believe that women suck. So you have to examine your narratives, whatever they are. Love hurts. Great. Why do you keep attracting painful love situations? Because if deep down you think love hurts, you keep reinforcing it. So you keep attracting it. It's like we have to change the story up. And that's not, that's not necessarily going to happen in one day, but over time, you stop creating the same cycle again and again. Let's get two of these cards. Let's get an advice card from each of these. We'll get one from the feminine deck and one from the masculine. Let me just check the time. Denial is a river, like Dochi said. Okay, one advice card from this. God, I keep getting the same cards. I got this card the last reading, I think, and let's get one from the masculine deck. The God of War. Ooh, we got Aries, A-R-E-S. And we got Eros, the God of Love. Interesting. Love and war. Okay, so let's see. We're going to pull... This card is the one about embodiment, about self-care, about taking care of your body, Anahit, or however you say that. So this is a card about making sure that you're dropping out of your head and into your body. In any way possible, get out of your head and start taking care of your physical vessel. Self-care, exercise, movement, beauty rituals, exercising, how you're eating, meditation that, isn't just analytical, maybe feeling, maybe sitting down and having a cry if you need one. And then, I don't know what these other cards are about, so let's see. Let's look at Aries first. Let me get my glasses. Oh, it's exhausting, isn't it? To just do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. It's like the definition of insanity. Okay, a hardened heart has served a purpose in protecting you. It's time to relinquish the hold of darkness and step into flow. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm feeling here. Pain, suffering, past experiences have left you with a wall, like a heart wall. But what you want to experience the most is love. And like I said, I get it. On such a visceral level, I understand the desire to protect yourself or to run or to push people away when it doesn't look good or it doesn't look perfect or it looks like it's going to hurt you again. Believe me. At the same time, how are you going to ever experience it if you don't let your guard down at least enough to give it a try? It says, long ago, a part of the divine masculine's heart went to war and has yet to return. Trauma and behavioral patterns that develop collectively can claw in so severely that they become the new norm for generations to come. Being cloaked in armor feels safe and protective, but when the war is ended, the armor becomes the problem. Protecting your peace is essential, but so is living. Allowing the piercing of the shield around your heart takes immense bravery. That's what I was saying here. If you're romantically interested in someone with a seemingly impenetrable ice boulder barricading their heart, it's not your job to thaw it out. If someone's not actively seeking help and working on their issues autonomously, be cautious about stepping into codependency. That's what I was saying in the beginning. If you build your whole life around a person and you expect them to fill every void, and then you realize over time that they can't do that because that's not their responsibility, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and also you're too dependent on that person to feel a certain way. Your happiness is not dependent on other people. It's your job. So ensure you don't get sucked into the dark void of taking emotional responsibility for somebody else. That is so important, you guys. Beware. Oh my God, look at this. Avoidant and you know this. Avoidant attachment and anxious attachment is like a fucking roller coaster, hot and cold. It says you can become entangled in dopamine hit-inducing addictive to and fro situations. Work on the root causes and subsequent behavior patterns linked to your attachment style so you can become more secure and open your heart even with discernment. And it says, sometimes the only way to survive hardship is to harden the heart for protection. Nevertheless, it doesn't serve to always be in protection mode. You deserve to experience life from an open-hearted vantage point. It's pretty self-explanatory. Let's see what Arrow says. It says you don't need to be fully healed to be in a relationship. Yeah. Relationships can be integral to healing, providing connection and physical touch, and meeting your needs. Seeking a relationship as an avoidance mechanism is different from combining connection with another individual alongside inner work. It's beneficial to be on a journey towards self-actualization, awareness, and self-soothing before you enter a relationship, but that doesn't mean you have to be at some place of completion. There's beauty to be found in remaining single, just like there is to be in relationship. The remedy to certain wounds and meeting certain needs requires elements in relationship, as some of these are inherently challenging to address when you're in isolation. In fact, some scars remain dormant until a trigger draws them to the surface. A relationship offers the environment for this to happen. Yeah, and it says hyper-independence can be overcome by slowly easing into receptivity with a partner. Fears of intimacy can be healed through being intimate. Fears of vulnerability can be healed through being vulnerable with a partner. Fears of rejection and abandonment can be healed by opening your heart to another. Sexual liberation can happen by opening up sexually. Of course, you can only do these things if you're willing, right? And you feel safe enough, but nothing is perfect. So it says you don't have to love yourself 100% to be loved and to love someone else. Embracing self-love can be mirrored through the love another person provides you with, and you can learn how to give yourself love by how you give it to a partner. You know, be on the journey of self-love and healing so that you're not relying on another to make you feel happy and whole. However, remain open to love. I know a lot of you guys that watch these videos are avoidant. I know that. And that's because that's my tendency. I'm not an anxiously attached person. I'm more avoidant. So I will just leave, I'll just cut off, I'll just disappear, and I'm very comfortable by myself. But guess what? That's not going to create deep intimacy. It's just a lie you tell yourself so that you don't have to take a risk and get hurt or risk being vulnerable. There are some lessons, like the card said, that can only be learned in relationship with another. You can practice these things with your friends, with your family, or whatever. But at a certain point, there's only certain things that can be done within the context and container of intimate partnership. And you have to be brave. It's not the easy path. Conscious relationship is hard. It's alchemy. It's fire. It's the burning away of the parts of your ego that aren't serving, of illusion, of insecurity, of wrong view, where you're not seeing things properly. That's all going to come up in relationship. I've learned more in relationship with others than I have on my meditation mat many times. Particularly intimate relationship. It is the most triggering place for me, at least. And for most of you guys, which is why a lot of people aren't in relationship, because it's easier to be alone. But you're not following these videos for nothing. So let's not deny ourselves the possibility of love, right? You've got to be open to it, but it will trigger you. And you just have to be okay with the discomfort, because with the good comes the challenges, but there's good. There's a lot of it, and the potential is limitless. But again, only the brave will experience epic love. Everybody else will settle for less. No judgments. It's up to you. It's a choice. This path is not for everybody. It could be, but not everybody wants it, right? So if you want support with this, I offer clarity sessions, 60 minutes. Book a reading, I will help you, and I give follow-ups. I give her an email with meditations and things to use after the reading is done. So we talk, but then you have resources to keep the momentum going. I don't just leave you hanging on a cliffhanger. So feel free to call me, you guys. This is my life's purpose. Like I said, this is the hardest thing, this has been the hardest stuff for me to learn too. And it's always a process of learning. I've got a beginner's mind, I'm always learning. But I'm just saying, it's very easy to isolate yourself. For most of you guys, that's probably true. But there's so many blessings in intimacy that you will never experience if you don't allow yourself the opportunity to be seen and take the risk and feel the discomfort and feel the somatic, all the sensations that arise when you feel vulnerable and exposed. But then people are like, but I want to be fully seen. Well, then you have to let yourself be fully seen. And I'm telling you right now, sometimes it burns. But it's not always bad. It's uncomfortable because it can be easier to not be seen, right? Then we don't have to face any of our stuff. And if you're with a partner who's an enabler and they don't look at their own shit and they avoid and they ignore the issues and they just tap dance around them and you live like that, well, guess what? It's not going, it's superficial. It only goes to a certain place. That's a choice too. You can stay there. But if you want depth, you've got to be willing to go look deeply within yourself. You want to dive in the deep end? Put on your fucking face mask and get ready to strengthen your lungs. Okay? I love you guys. If you want my help, I am always here for you. And if you haven't checked out the podcast, that is live, and there's an episode up now of the Strip podcast. I'll be putting at least one episode out a week. And the links are all in the description for these things. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.